Welcome everyone on today's Metal3 Community meeting. Please don't forget that the meeting is being recorded. Today is the 20th of April 2022. My name is Adam Rosman and I will be your host today. So as usual, we would start with the introductions, but there are no new member in the meeting, so we can continue to the first agenda points. The first agenda point is that, as we discussed on last week, we will have a voting about these three drawing tools. All of this can be version controlled. All of this can generate text-based description of the drawing. So you can choose from these three, and I have shared the instructions here on Slack and on the email list. So please, if you are interested, ping me on any of this platform and I will send you a voting link. You can vote with the link once. Okay, I think that's all related to the voting. Yeah, and then the voting is available until the 22nd of April, 23:30 UTC time. And then we can go to our next agenda point. Ferus, please.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. Hello. This is regarding the issue that I brought like a couple of times in the previous past meetings. So regarding the blocking the deprovisioning of the BMH when the machine deletion timestamp is not set, we discussed quite a lot on the issue with Zane. And I think Zane had a point that we shouldn't block the deprovisioning. One reason is it would break CapVM users, like I think it's in the OpenShift side, and then the second is it's from the UX perspective, it's not really nice experience to block the deprovisioning of the BMH. I agree that it might not be really like nice experience to do that, but at the same time, I also don't think that it is also nice that we easily let the breaking the cluster, like you just delete the BMH and yet you're stuck because the machine cannot be deleted. Health check cannot do anything with that machine, even if you have the machine health check, whether it's provider specific or generic. Because when someone requested the deletion of the BMH, it will start deprovisioning immediately. It doesn't care if the parent object was actually requested for the deletion. So deprovisioning will go on. Machine will continue staying in running state. Zain was suggesting that we should, I think in the OpenShift, he did like they moved the machine into the failed state, which I was mentioning that that's not enough again, because moving into the failed state, I haven't tested. I was actually testing it right now in Dev, but moving it into the failed state will not help to recover the broken node, because I'm not 100% sure if the CAPI, like if you move it to the failed state, CAPI would continue deletion or not. I'm testing it, but I assume it will not really do anything. And even if you are using health check cannot also do anything, because health check at the end, what it will try is maybe it will try to remediate with some specific remediation logic. At some point it will give up and then fall back to the deletion. And again, deletion cannot be successfully completed because the image is already deprovisioned. So user or whoever the administrator has to manually fix the node. I think it's to be honest unfortunate that we're just letting the BMH to be easily like not the BMH but the node to be easily getting into such a like state where it's getting stuck, and then we have to manually restore it, do the etcd like draining and all that stuff manually if possible. Actually, it might be sometimes too late to do that because it's already previewed. I'm not sure if Zane is on the call.
I'm here.
Hi Zane. So Zane, you were saying that it might break the CAP-BM, and what I was suggesting is that not to break the CAP-BM users, we could just add the annotation or finalize it from the CAPM3 on the BMO. CAP-BM would not do that. It would not break the CAP-BM users, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly stop it from breaking us. I'm reading Kashif's comment here, and he says that it's specific to bare metal hosts, but I don't think it is. Like, if you have a cluster on AWS and you go delete the instance from the AWS console, what's the difference?
So if you delete the instance, I'm trying to think. I think that perhaps, well, yes, you're right. You could delete that, and I think it would be more or less the similar situation.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is that our API is actually in the Kubernetes cluster, but I think there are even other CAPI providers where they use a Kubernetes API to sit in front of the the cloud API. So, like, I really don't think that we're in a special case. Like, in my opinion, we should try to make it work the same way as all the other things. And if the remediation controller isn't doing that correctly, then that's something that can be fixed in the remediation controller. Like, if the host is gone, it should fall back to deleting the machine straight away, not try to reboot it.
Yeah, but it can't delete it even. So machine health check also will give up, right? Because it just fails to delete it because BMH is the provision. And perhaps what Kashif had in his mind regarding this Metal3 uniqueness is from, let's say, AWS, you delete the VM from the AWS console. It's gone, but in our case, it's not gone. It is trying to delete. It's getting stuck, the deletion. You cannot delete it, right? Because you have this finalizer and then all the reference, all the chain. Like the server is still there. It is not deleted. We are trying to delete it. The only thing we're like able to do is we're deprovisioning, but we're not able to delete. While in AWS, you are able to delete, right? Maybe that's
so, all right, we're not able to delete because we have the. No, why are we not able to delete?
Because we have probably the finalizer, either consumer ref or owner ref. I always mismatch those two. Yes, I think one of those is blocking. I actually have the cluster right now. I can just check from the BMO log.
I think the finalizer should be removed as soon as the host is deprovisioned, I thought.
I can check very quickly, just a sec. But would you mind, Adam, if I share my screen for a second?
No.
Let me try that. Oh, you have to give me permissions.
Okay.
So you can select the user, like from the users, you can select me, and then on that.
Yeah, see more, and I can ask you to start video, or
Yeah.
is it?
Just allow me share the screen, and that's it.
So I would also say that the equivalent of a bare metal host object is not really the equivalent of a VM. It's the provisioning of the bare metal host object is kind of the equivalent of a VM in the cloud. So I would say that deprovisioning is actually effectively the same thing as deleting instance. If you think about it in ironic terms, that's certainly how it would look.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Are you able to see my screen, like the
Yes.
terminal?
Yes.
So we have two BMHs right now. What I did is I manually did kubectl delete on one of the BMHs, and it's stuck in the deletion. You can see the machine is still showing that it's running. Similar story with Kepi machine probably. Yeah, it is still running. And if you look at the BMO logs, it's been running for a while. I'm not sure. Oh, sorry. Let me close this. So is this the one? Metal host node namespace, put on face.
All right. I mean, that's a bug.
Yeah. Cannot patch maintains resolve full and can be updated, automated clean buys interface, blah, blah, blah. Is this coming from irony? Failed to delete.
Yeah, that's a bug.
You're right, because we have a very special way of updating maintenance reason in the cloud is not aware of it, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
We should.
my fault.
Hosts should never get stuck in the deleting state unless something else is adding a finalizer to them. So, but in this case, it seems to bug with how we're interacting with the ironic.
So we don't care if it is attached to machine or not. If there is a request given to delete the BMH, it should be completed, right?
Yes, and unless something else is added to finalizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't think anything is.
Yeah. In that case, we're now similar with AWS, let's say. Right.
Yeah. So what I did in OpenShift is like the machine will actually notice if the host it has starts to get deprovisioned. Because in normal operation that shouldn't happen. And if it starts seeing it get deprovisioned, whether or not it gets deleted, then it will put the machine into the failed state.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to ask Zane about like that specific thing. Like how did you like? I tried to see your PR. The API was probably a bit different.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's changed so much.
How did you put the machine into the failed state? Because this is the status, and we cannot update the status. And I was trying to understand, like, I was actually reading, like, because here you said we do this by returning false from exist, like transitioning the machine into the failed. But I don't understand what is this like.
Yeah. Okay. So how it worked in the bad old days of the cluster API, like in the version that OpenShift forked off, which was pre V1 beta 1 or like or pre V1 alpha 1, I think. How it worked was there was one controller, there was one lot of controller code, and you would write a thing called an actuator, which is just a library. and there's a Golang interface where the controller calls into the actuator and does stuff. So basically, the exists method of the actuator tells you, does the instance exist? So like, you know, in the case of on a cloud, it's like, does the VM exist? And in our case, is the host provisioned? And it has different meanings at different phases, which it's a horrible API. So it's good that they changed it. But basically, if once the machine has got past the provisioning phase and it's in provision, that means you've already returned true from exists at some point. So the instance exists. If you then later return false, that means your instance was deleted effectively. So your VM was deleted or your host was deprovisioned. And in that case, the controller puts the machine into the failed phase. So I don't know what the equivalent is in the new CAFI, but there must be one.
Yeah, I was curious, how does it put it into the failed state? Like, I understood now what you explained, because like I was checking the API of the machine, and where's this? Oh, I see you're not seeing my browser, right? You're probably seeing my terminal.
No, we're seeing the browser.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So in the status, we have this phase field, which this one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Which can be a fail, terminating, running, but that's a status, and we like it, even if we modify it to whatever like options we have, the controller will immediately put it like based on the state that it's fetching from the API server. So how my interest was how we actually make the GP machine really failed so that it actually shows the same failed state in the status. Because if I modify it right now, it doesn't make sense. Controller will immediately put it, for example, if it's running into the running state, if it's terminating into the terminating.
Do you need to delete the Metal3 machine, perhaps, and that would cause the machine controller to say, "Oh, the underlying thing has been deleted"?
I can just try it run with brute force. Let's see. Okay, there is something wrong, like something is stuck. It's fine, let's see. And I'm just curious. Okay, what machine shows me now? Sorry. Yeah, I think even machine deletion is blocked, probably because the consumer between the machine and the Metal3 machine is not cleaned up, so that might not work, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely not an expert on how the cluster API works.
Yeah.
In later versions, so I don't know how our controller communicates to the machine API that hey, your instance went away. But I feel reasonably confident that there must be some way to communicate that.
Sure. So what you're suggesting is the best thing we could do is somehow transition the machine into the failed state, and that's it, right? And then let the third party like controller or whatever, or like the admin to.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like this is only going to happen when you've manually intervened in the cluster. So I think it's okay to say you have to manually intervene to clean it up. It would be nice if the machine health check would work if it was enabled. So that might be another thing to look into. But yes, from my perspective, like once you put the machine into the failed phase, like we've appropriately reported what happened. The user can look at the machine and say, hey, that machine's failed.
Yeah. All right. I will take a look at Capi, like if it could transition it somehow into the failed state. So you also mentioned that the deletion of the BMH could be like a manual intervention, like by the administrator. So the one use case that might not be the case is you have some, like for example, have some scripts that are running, like doing those sort of things, and like there might be some accidental deletion by the script or some other application that is running, not necessarily the human being, let's say. So what we wanted is really just avoid the like accidental deprovisioning of the BMH. But yeah, I will take a look at the Capi code. Let's see. Thanks a lot. I will stop sharing now.
No worries.
Okay, thank you. That was quite a long discussion. Would you like me to note here anything from this that you might want to remember later, or is it fine? Or
no worries, I can do it, Adam.
okay. Okay. We don't have anything else on the agenda. So is there somebody who want to add something, I mean, to the agenda that wasn't listed? Yep.
Not to the agenda, but I actually forgot one thing regarding this deletion of the ironic node. So is the bug in the BMO code, Zane or Dimitri, or is it somewhere happening in the Gopher cloud? Do you have ideas for that?
Looks like BMO, that bug.
Okay. Then I will take a look. And is it okay? Like,
I think open an issue, and Dimitri and I can take a look. Just with that log message, and
sure,
should be fairly straightforward to work out what it's doing.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Something? Okay. And related to the meeting, suggestions, problems, improvements, questions, anything? Questions related to the polling? Okay, if there is nothing else, then thank you for your time, and we will see each other next week, and we will do triaging. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.